On commence avec Monsieur Andreas Kraushaar, qui est l'animateur, on dit en français, en anglais c'est convener, c'est la personne qui anime et qui dirige également le groupe de travail numéro 3 au sein du TC 130 qui se concentre sur les travaux de process control, donc technologie graphique et contrôle des procédés d'impression. Merci d'être là, Andy.
Merci, thank you very much. Yeah, welcome and thanks for having me here and welcome to the presentation 12647-2 updates and challenges. Yeah, my name is Andy Kraushaar. I'm with Fogra since 2001, so for now 25 years now, silver wedding so to speak, and Fogra celebrates its 75th anniversary. So this is the research institute in the graphic arts industry with 1,000 members worldwide, also in France, like Deco Adair here, close by. So and our work is really to represent the interest of our members, which are shared across the whole food chain, from suppliers, paper makers, printers, agencies, but also brands. So we represent the interests of the whole graphic arts chain. The next 20 minutes I will talk a little bit about the expectation, because when we talk about printing we mostly need to bridge and manage expectations of the designers, of the brands, of their colors, their ideas, and then to make it feasible. Printing, as every output process, has limitations, has pros, has cons, and so you need to bridge expectations and output. And then we will learn how 12647-2, our most important standard, helps us to bridge the expectations of the designers and the reality in the press room, which is also quite hard for the printers here among us. So the thing is that color is very poetic. So we did not understand color for many, many years or centuries. Only from about 100 years we understand color exactly what it is. It's a perception which only is valid for humans. And so the language we have in France, also in German, is very poetic, and that makes it very hard for technicians when people say, oh, make it friendlier, make it more vivid. So these are the things designers and people normally think about it, but the technicians on the press, they need to translate this in some values there. And so, and also in Apple, they know about, we need to make pleasant images. If you get your new iPhone out, or you expect very pleasant images and not always accurate images. And so this is a challenge to understand when something is pleasing and when is something accurate, because we can only do something in a standardized way when we can measure it. So this is important. And that is what we typically see. You have your RGB design, which is very nice and beautiful, and then you go to print and then, this is flat, and this is what happens here, and this is just a lack of knowledge. And when you understand the transition that you can see here in the video, it's a perfect timing, when you can see the original. So you have a design like what you have on your iPad or your computer, and then if you exactly. And when you, that means with the right color profile, every pixel is a specific color which you can measure on your new display or whatever. And then you can see you go to printing, which is typically a little bit smaller, sometimes more, sometimes less, and then you compress it. And so the thing is, and this is unavoidable, everyone in this planet has to do it. Even if other people tell you, I can do it better, they are lying. It's not true, it's physics. So you have to do that compensation. And so the thing is that when you have your ideas, your creatives, your agencies, with some mood boards, with ideas, with spot colors, with Pantone, whatever, they come with everything today, then you need to convert it to something known. And you don't know where you print typically, which exact print shop and paper and all the details. So that's why the ISO standard we talk about create profiles, reference printing condition, Fogra standards, when Fogra developed, as a reference here, and where this is typical printing. This reflects typical printing for a specific paper. And that is art. And this will remain art. That means going from your Adobe RGB, from your nice scans, whatever your input is, to a printable reference. This remains art, because there are so much things where people like punchy, ready, whatever. Yeah, this is art, and this is people's expectations. It's not about technology. And when we have something converted to such a Fogra standard, then we are manageable already in a color space which we can manage, where printers have a fair choice and chance to achieve it. So then you have small color differences and you can match that expectation. You can prove the references, and this is the core of the whole standard, to bridge expectations and productions when with printing conditions. This is a term we will hear about later too, where we have profiles which reflect typical printing, and these are defined in our world. This is exactly what we have here. This is the designers here. They have some ideas. They prepare the data in Photoshop. You might know Fogra 39, Fogra 51. In the US, you will hear about Gracol or CRPC. And then you have a reference. You will hear about that later. And you can prove that. And then you send this data to the printer. Doesn't matter if it's gravure, offset, digital. And they convert the data to their actual output. In offset, with the standard which we're talking about today, you don't need to know color management. You just print one-to-one. Yeah, this is the beauty of it. And then you have a proof, and this is really the reference. This is what you can rely on, what you can expect. And then the printer prints it, and you compare this one. And that is the whole standard about. When you compare this one with this one, you will end up in chaos. This will not work. You will do a lot of retouchment and iterations, and this is not predictable. Yeah, the world here is predictable. You see PDFX, and the 12647-2, the offset part, this is exactly that part here where we say here we define reference printing condition, how a print looks like on toilet paper, on chroma looks, on whatever. Yeah, we print on anything which is not running away today. Yeah, so that is the world. And when you see here, when you ask me about how is printing done, and I would say 10% is really nicely. People know what they do. The agency prepare everything, make a proof, and send the data to the print house and say, this is what we expect, this is the printing condition. But the reality is like this, that we hear, again, Fogra is also the referee. Yeah, I'm also a football referee for 30 years and more. Yeah, we also get the problems, not only the flowers. Actually, I never get flowers. I always get problems at Fogra. Who is right, who is wrong? Because something goes wrong. And the core reason for I'm doing those expert opinions and reports for 25 years, 99%, it's a lack of understanding of this printing condition. What is it? Is it ISO-coated? Is it Fogra blah, 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 CRPC? And what does it mean when you print it? What are the tolerances related? Yeah. So I tried some friends here. So this is exactly where we would like to see ourselves. This is what we see. This is, in such a case, they come to Fogra because they need a neutral party, a referee who says who is right and wrong. Yeah. So the thing is, what can be wrong? Yeah, we have so many papers and you don't know exactly what is the right paper, and the output is different. The next challenge is you need to maintain your process calibration. Fogra developed the TVI method in the PSO we developed. You will hear about another method from Don after me, a G7 method. Yeah. So, and there's also another one called CTV. They've all, as always in worlds, pros and cons. And if you ask the owner, they say they are the best, of course, like always in world. At the end, you have to make up your mind, let's keep it by this. Yeah. But this is important to keep. How do you keep your process calibrations, your correction curves? And you cannot make them updated for every paper, and then the paper changes. So having this under control is very important. Mixing industry standards. So for the designers I know, they get crazy. They tell me, are you crazy? In Photoshop I see so many standards, what should I use? I'm fully confused. Yeah? And so this is something where we say, can we not give them one standard? Like if you do something for the internet, you typically do sRGB. For printing, they come with so many different standards and say, come on, are you crazy? Are you kidding me? I want one CMYK, not hundreds. Yeah? And of course, like I think in most industries, is a lack of understanding when you have some specific properties like optical brightener agents, you know, the white is very white because of some chemicals and you need some light, and this is a complex interplay. But still, the thing is, when we source and production, when we meet them, then what you do typically is that in the Europe area, we have Fogra standards. In the US, you typically have Gracol or CRPC6 data. They use a G7 process control and print to the proofs, more or less okay. Here they use the Fogra standard with the PSO approach and match the proof, very good to okay, yeah, you will find tolerances everywhere. And here the rest, it's 50-50. I don't argue about that one, sometimes more, sometimes less. The idea is here, why not defining something here where the competing, and to be honest, these are competing. He wants to sell the G7 approach, I want to sell the TVI approach, so you can make up your mind. Yeah? So why we cannot meet in the middle? And the cool thing here is that in those meetings, after sometimes, we got an agreement to say, let's meet in the middle. Let's meet in the middle between the G7 approach and the TVI approach. And we got a consensus, and this is called that universal characterization dataset. So this compromise candidate between the two world-leading process control methods, between TVI and G7, this is the UCD data. And this is what we are discussing here, which we have a very promising candidate where we can now tell you that we hope that that will not make the calibration method anymore so important. Yeah? So that means for the printing condition one, for the most important one on premium coated stock, we have many more details, which we are not covering today. But this is the most important one. We got an agreement. And that means today, when you do the TVI away, this is what I showed before. Everything from good to perfect to not so good. The same here, from good to perfect to not so good, believe me. We can now say, let's calibrate our presses to TVI, or to CTV, or to G7+, and then the same data can send to the same press. This was never done before, and this is really cool that you can now use with that method. You choose either approach, it doesn't matter, and you can send this new data set to it. And they are so in the middle that even the old data sets are usable. So that means if you see the comparison here, the UCD, the new profile, the unified characterization data is well in the middle between the three big players, I would say, being Gracol 213, Fogra 51, and Fogra 39. So you see there's some deltas. Again, we did many print runs, so there was a lot of contribution from US experts, from Fogra, from Chinese printers, so worldwide. It was a really good Chinese worldwide activity where many people contributed, and we tested and found out that this new guy here, that UCD, is really a very promising candidate for data exchange and for making printing really finally aligned. And you, or for the brands, means if you use that profile for proofing and data communication, you don't have to care anymore about the output. Is it a TVI output guy? Is it a G7 output guy? Or is it a CTV output press? You ask for the protocol, of course, but then you will get printing the expected. Yeah, coming to the end, when we see how printing the expected runs, yeah, try to understand the expectation and then try to reproduce it in an efficient manner, not more, not less. We see that this corner in the middle, you have the expectation here, we have the reference printing condition, and we have here the output, which being everything, you know, what we print today on. And the proof is really something when in my expert reports, when something goes wrong, I asked my first question, was there a proof? And you can now guess what was the answer. No time, no money, what is the proof? I know all the excuses. I bet a box of beer here. I know all the excuses in our world from designers and from printers, believe me. And so, because the proof of that would then forces you, is it a G7 proof, Fogra 39 proof, on which paper, is it a newspaper proof? Because that already tells also the printer, oh, there's some quality involved, and you should, and the data creator people is not an online customer where if red is not green, it's okay, but you would like to match something. And so it's also an indication. So that is our recommendation. When something is of really important quality demand, you should think about a soft proof or hard proof, because that shows you what to expect. And to be honest, color management cannot do wonders. It disappoints you at the beginning. Color management disappoints you at the beginning. You can work without color management, yes, but then you are disappointed at the end. So you can just pick where you would like to be disappointed. Yeah, so the new standard is likely to be published next year. So there are a few things in ISO protocol which takes some time. The 3 calibration methods are really covering what's happening worldwide, I would say 99%. We have 12 substrates, maybe 13, but they really covering what's going on in the world. And so it's, if you don't have very specialties, this is a very cool now range of what is relevant worldwide. And for the premium coated stock, for the most important printing condition, we now have a candidate where the first time the different parties agrees, and we hope and we are very positive that we end up with one profile, and then we can use as a designer, as a brand, one profile for the CMYK part and get really aligned printing. Yeah, again, this is me on the pitch here, because it's very nice also to be neutral in the weekends when we do the questions, but you don't have to do. It's like football, you can play without a referee. Yes, you can, and many people do so. But you know, sometimes you would like to have a referee for some reasons, and this is the whole existence for Fogra, to say someone needs us to get a third party looking on something. Yeah, and with that, thank you for your attention, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you so much.